Start off, thank you guys for coming out. Really think this will be an engaging conversation to talk about how universities can engage with Bitcoin, engage the industry, and kind of where the education is going. And we have some varied perspectives here. Janie's a student. We have Micheal running the Bitcoin lab up in Binghamton. And then we have our Bitcoin Research Institute. So yeah, if you guys want to start out with some introductions and talk about what you're doing in the space.
All right. Yeah, the Bitcoin Research Institute came into existence here on campus in July officially, and the goal is to produce academic research on Bitcoin. We feel like the academic level is being missed, and thus the public and journalists who are trying to inform the public don't really know where to go for accurate peer-reviewed information about Bitcoin, and they end up going to people who don't know a whole lot about Bitcoin. And so we thought we could help by producing some of that research and also vetting other research. So a lot of people want to write about Bitcoin. They have a project idea they think is cool. And when you're in academia, you have to publish if you want to get tenure, and you have to publish a lot. And a lot of times you have to publish faster than you might want to. And if you are not already immersed in Bitcoin and in the community, you might not realize just how complicated it is. You might think that you understand it when you in fact don't, and you might submit something, and the peer reviewers might be in the same position where, oh yeah, everything looks good, these calculations look right. And as a result, you end up getting sensationalist titles of journal articles like Bitcoin on track to increase global climate temperature by 2 degrees by 2030. And you think, wait a minute, that can't be right. That seems crazy. Should we step back and look at this? And then you realize, oh, you didn't know that there was a difficulty adjustment. You thought blocks could just come faster and faster and faster, and transaction fees would keep going up, and miners would just turn on more and more hash rate. And so, the difficulty adjustment is not intuitive. It's really interesting. It's a cool feature of Bitcoin that you don't just run across when you're thinking about sound money or something like that. So it's understandable that you might publish something without investigating it this far. The Bitcoin Research Institute wants to be a place where prospective authors about Bitcoin can send papers to get feedback on things that they may have missed, in addition to putting scholars together to create some of these papers ourselves. Sorry, that was a long answer.
Okay. Well, my name's Janie. I'm from Star Valley, Wyoming, and I'm a student at BYU-Idaho. I originally got into Bitcoin by interning with Senator Cynthia Lummis in the summer of 2024, and then this past summer I interned with the Bitcoin Policy Institute and wrote a white paper on strategic Bitcoin reserves. And I'm starting to start a club at BYU-Idaho and BYU for Bitcoin because we don't have any classes. My professors and fellow students tend to tell me I'm just going into a scammed industry, so trying my best to educate others around me.
Thank you so much, Janie. That's so exciting to hear. And it's amazing, though, to hear the scam attitude. So I'm in New York, so I hear that a lot. That Bitcoin's a scam. So, I'm professor. I run this Bitcoin lab at Binghamton University, which is part of the State University of New York. It's a very difficult and interesting place to mine Bitcoin. It's really amazing to come to the University of Wyoming. I feel like I left North Korea, and all of a sudden, I can breathe. The air feels good. My asthma's gone. I feel like a sovereign person. It's amazing. But to see an actual university president come here and say good things about Bitcoin, I didn't know that existed. I think that all the university presidents around the country should get together and talk about the benefits of Bitcoin, because that would help us a lot. But okay, it's a short introduction, so I'll keep it short. But our lab, we're one of the only ones to have a mining facility on campus. It's very small. We have 100 or so Bitcoin students. I don't know if it's the largest Bitcoin club in the country, but it's definitely the largest one that actually knows how to mine and engineer and produce. We built a shit axe a couple weeks ago. If you don't know what a shit axe is, it's basically hash rate heating, which is our main focus in there of just, using mining power to heat your toilet seat, so getting paid to poop. Anyway, that's about it. So.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about from the CBDI side. So obviously Professor Steve Lupian is our center director, and with that we administer the blockchain minor degree, not Bitcoin mining degree, but minor degree in academic sense. But in that, it's about 125 students ranking through that. And we start with Bitcoin, and then my role at the CBDI is to kind of work on the application side. So engaging the industry, putting together conferences like this, working on the policy side to make Wyoming more competitive, and just really driving that engagement between the university and your industry, and adopt education, promote it everywhere throughout the state. We're working on different community engagement programs, so hopefully we'll be doing a lot more of that. Yeah, it's great. So I want to kind of talk about how do you guys go about engaging students, getting students involved in this, and kind of how do you approach it in the university setting? And then Janie, you can kind of talk from the perspective of maybe how could they reach out to students more, get more students involved, and maybe some of the opportunities that you received and cool opportunities out there for students.
Well, I think I'm always trying to start conversations on campus, just bringing up Bitcoin. And I always asked, what is Bitcoin? And I always just shoot back, what is money? Like, what's the dollar? And it starts a lot of good conversation. So that's been pretty good so far. I know that it would be great if I had professors reaching out, seeing things that I've done with my internships instead of kind of looking past the internships I did with the Bitcoin Policy Institute because it's not as well known. I had one professor reach out this week after being posted with the blockchain, and he was like, I want to talk more about this and what we could start at the school. So that's great, and that's the first professor, person, anyone that's reached out from that. So I'm excited for that. But my other professors, since I'm missing school for this, are taking down my grade because I'm missing. So it's a little unfortunate. Yeah. So it would be nice if there was just that support for areas that maybe the professors don't specifically go into, supporting something that you just don't know about, like learn about it and help your students.
Yeah, we had a chair of economics at my campus tell me that I should not be talking about Bitcoin with the students in his department because Bitcoin has nothing to do with economics. So I don't know. I don't know what's more ridiculous, that or faculty who still believe the dollar is backed by gold. But I think Bitcoin forces us to rethink a lot of stuff, which is why do we even have universities? Well, how do they function? What's our vision for the future of them? What is their purpose, and so on. But those are bigger issues. But yeah, I think because I'm in religious studies as well, and I'm a historian, that's why I go by Bitstorian. I think the best way to bring people in is to speak to them through the language that they understand already. That's how, again, me as a historian studying late antiquity, the rise of Christianity and early Judaism, that's how this spread. So I take that approach a lot of times. So in New York, I speak to the things that speak to people in New York and onto university campuses. Like, you want to talk about social justice? Let's talk about Bitcoin. You're crying about the federal government cutting your funding for the university? We've got money printers sitting on campus. And not only that, they can lower the overall energy consumption, bring in money to allow us to build green energy if that's what you want to do, and so on. So that's what I try to do. Mainly, I just create workshops and bring a lot of Bitcoin stuff, and students show up and they're like, I want to get rich off Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, great. So let's teach you what it's all about. And then it just grows and grows.
Yeah, most of us were probably in the position where we had to explain to most of our friends and family what Bitcoin is. And I explained to my parents And it's a very different explanation to some mid-60s adults than it is to 18 to 22-year-olds. So my parents, were 16 years old or so when the U.S. went off the gold standard, and the students I'm teaching were -40. So they haven't lived that life. My parents also don't understand why you would trade real actual value for digital value only, like buying a character on a video game, an outfit. That makes no sense to them, but it makes all the sense in the world to students. Like they've grown up doing that. So it's a very different approach, and I think I stress mostly issues of privacy and censorship resistance. So, here at the University of Wyoming, we have a lot of students who are on the left. We have a lot of students who are on the right. They're all concerned about being censored, just by different groups. And so if you can say, what if you wanted to buy something? And then, depending on which student it is, you pick gender-affirming drugs or firearms or something like that. What if you wanted to buy that and Visa wouldn't allow you, and PayPal wouldn't allow you, and Venmo wouldn't allow you? Do you think it's valuable for people to have a choice over whether they can transact? And furthermore, how do you feel about the idea that every single one of your purchases, that record is being sold, and they're trying to figure out what you're going to buy next so that they can basically use you as a product? And most students just think that's inevitable. What are my choices? I can't buy things with cash. That's not even real money. So being able to talk about the privacy that Bitcoin offers in that context, I think opens doors as well. The sort of monetary policy side of things, not much success.
Right. So we kind of talked some of the challenges, but maybe I'll have guys elaborate a little bit on some of the challenges in trying to engage Bitcoin in academia, and then maybe some ways that we can address it going forward. And I think we are building positive momentum. Like Janie said, there's professors reaching out. There's multiple programs starting to expand. So maybe what's some challenges and maybe some ways we can overcome it inside the university and get this rolling a little bit more.
I'll start on that. I tell the students all the time that you're getting ripped off because you are getting ripped off as students at the university. So first of all, imagine for those who know S23 miners that are coming out next year, I'm going to pre-buy them right now. Okay, I got to wait a few months. Imagine pre-buying something like your college degree 4 years in advance, right? And how much money the university is making off your money and so on. So it's all one big scam. But all right, so I try to tell them, and when you have your idea, get out and go into the world and be an entrepreneur and stop letting other people get rich off your work. And it's amazing. I was talking to Janie about it earlier, and she was saying also at her university, students, they're shocked by that. And so they come, they want to get a job, they have their CV, they want to do all that, and they want to start making money making other people rich. And so I teach that to the students all the time. And a couple of weeks ago, the dean asked me, what is this stuff you're talking about as a revolution? It seems, and you said that we don't need banks anymore. That seems very, I don't know, dangerous. And I'm like, but I think honestly, my call to action, the most important thing I want to say on this panel today, if there are any legislators in the room, first of all, help us make your jobs redundant by creating a post-political economy. Okay, but before you go, we don't need you anymore. Can you please help us create legislation, probably on the state level, across many different states, to guarantee the right to mine on universities? Because this is the biggest issue we have in our university. They say you can't mine, so I have to keep fighting against it. And there's no regulation that says you can't mine. It just says you can't use the state's resources for private gain. We have an entire building on campus for professional and career development, and we're helping students, build CVs and everything else. This whole place is to help people build their wealth. So we need clarity on that. Every state needs clarity. I don't know if it should come from the federal government or not, but some state needs to lead that so that all of us can follow that. And New York will probably be last, but at least we'll have something. Wyoming could probably be first. but we need actual legislation to guarantee the right to mine for all universities and public institutions who should be hash rate heating. And universities should be accountable to taxpayers, and this is part of us getting there. I mean, if the Congress in Wyoming and the University of Wyoming were hash rate heating, using the state's resources, that money should be going back to taxpayers, and we as faculty should be sitting in front of fireside chat saying, this is how much of your taxpayer money I use. What do you think? But anyways, that's the Bitcoiner tangent, what we can do. Indeed.
I think the problems and challenges you face as a student and an educator will be like endless until there's a lot more education on Bitcoin. I just know that obviously all the times I'm told that I'm going into a scam and like, oh, I'm losing all my money, but explaining to people that like Bitcoin is my money and like it's the only way that it can be yours officially, unless you carry cash in your pocket at all times. But that education is just so important to teaching others of that. And you can't convince someone of your opinion about whether Bitcoin should be the way to go or not. But when you show them examples and explain the basics of it, you change lots of minds. And I think that that's going to be a game changer for Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
I think that it's probably nigh on impossible to change academia's stance towards Bitcoin. What it will take will be new faculty coming in who already understand Bitcoin, who are younger, and then older faculty who don't, retiring and leaving. Because it's just really hard to change your mind, and when you've built a career on something, it's tough. So I think what we can do in academic publishing is publish good stuff that people can cite. And then what we can do is educate college students so that they, or high school students or middle school students, help them understand early on, so that's in the background as they're going through college. So here, for example, to start the Bitcoin Research Institute, if I had just come to President Seidel and said, I want to do this, it may have gone well. I had a lot of support. Phil right there, for example, helping out. But it also helped that I came with a pretty large check that someone had offered if we could start a Bitcoin Research Institute on campus. So in universities, as everywhere else, money talks and oftentimes dictates terms. And if universities feel like this is a potential fundraising source, then that's all the more likely that it will come to pass. So, there's lots of great Bitcoin nonprofits to donate to, but if this is something you care about, then consider donating to education-based ones.
Yeah, to Brad's point, kind of what I specifically work on is the application side and then engaging industry. So I think one of the big ways that we can overcome some of the curmudgeon attitude towards Bitcoin and not really wanting to engage it would be having the industry engage us. And I think maybe I'll have you guys kind of talk about what are the positive benefits of industry coming and engaging in the university? Like, what's the value add for the industry? But also, what is the positive net effect of that, and what can that do for probably broader society, but certainly their companies and going forward?
I guess I'll start to keep the order. So, just to finish something what Brad was saying, just real quick, to say donating to Bitcoin education, we're actually running, I think we're co-running, I think it's the first ever Bitcoin Student Research Prize. It certainly is one. So if you know any students working or anyone who wants to donate to that prize, make it bigger. Sorry, I forgot the question already.
Just talking about how the industry can engage the universities, and the ways they can do that, but also some of the benefits that they might receive in doing so.
So Adam was here earlier, and Upstream Data donated one of their black boxes to our Bitcoin Research Lab. We got it there, it arrived. The university was very shocked, even though I told them for months it was coming. They had no idea. Oh, I thought we were just talking. But now we have it there, paid for by Foundry, built by Upstream Data. And the industry is really helping. They donate a lot to our campus. And that helps provide students, hands-on learning opportunities. And we have that in our fabrication lab, which is nice glass paneled building. all the students on campus can walk by and see it, and they do. And they say, what is that? And we got almost 70 new students in the Bitcoin Club in the past month, in part by them coming and seeing that, and what is that? So industry, and what does industry gain by it? I don't know, I'm not in industry, but my dean asked me that same question, very concerned, thinking that they're trying to rip us off, right? And I said, so I don't have a great answer. My answer to her was that it's kind of what Janie was saying, and Brad as well, that this industry doesn't go, and there's no future if the students are not learning this. If students don't care, then no one's going to care about Bitcoin going in the future. We're not going to have new faculty that know about Bitcoin. So I think it's a long-term play for industry, in addition to a short-term play of having your name as, I don't know, the upstream data chair of Bitcoin studies or something. So I think there's, broader aims for industry, especially if you're in hash rate heating. I mean, someday there's going to be a university willing to take that step. And imagine if you're the company that builds that out. Or imagine if you're the company in New York that is hosting all of SUNY's mining and so on. So there's a lot of, upside.
I think that lots of different industries or organizations could reach out and make their internships known. I didn't know about the Bitcoin Policy Institute at all until I joined a random panel with Matt Pines, and then he reached out after and was like, "There's this internship, you should do it." And I was like, "I've never heard of this," but I did it, and it was game changer. And I know that lots of students in college go to mentors and people looking for internships to find jobs after college. And if there were more variety and there was opportunities of Bitcoin internships, I think students would be interested in it and they would go for that. And then what the industries gain is they gain a bunch of subject matter experts that are passionate about something. I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, not much new to add. You get a workforce, you get to feel good about yourself, and maybe some tax breaks.
Well, we're just about at time, but I think engaging the universities is a long-term benefit overall. Oh yeah, actually, we'll do some questions. What was it?
Okay, my thought is you guys would be wide open because you're digitally native. I'm not.
There's no difference to people my age. I'm Gen Z of crypto and Bitcoin, and they're completely different. So I think I always tell people oh yeah, Bitcoin Policy Institute. They're like, oh yeah, I have Ethereum. I'm like, it's not the same. And then I don't want to get into a whole rabbit hole, but I would characterize it as the nerds do it. And that's about it. And other people just call it a scam, or they don't care about it enough. They're like, it's not going to change in my lifetime. I just have the dollar. But yeah, if you're into Bitcoin, you're just a nerd.
I'm a nerd, I guess.
Me too.
I mean, in my experience too, I think a lot of students think that they will not just be able to save and buy a house and retire and have kids. They're just not going to be able to afford it. Things are going to get too expensive. And so their chance is to strike it rich quick. So somehow make a viral video or hit the right pump and dump crypto scheme at the right times. And so talking to them about building wealth over time slowly is pretty foreign. I don't want to tread too much on Janie's own experience because I'm 25 years older, but.
Yeah, to add to that, I guess another thing is people always say, I don't have the money to invest into Bitcoin. And I'm like, if you have $10, then that's enough to invest in Bitcoin. And I always mention that a piece of my paycheck goes towards that because it's an investment. It's not when can you buy and sell it. It's different from the stocks. It's a whole different, it's a savings.
All right, well, I think we'll end it there, but I'll say for, any students that are in the audience or students who might catch this, the industry is engaging universities. There's really cool opportunities. it's not every day you get to bring like some of the best minds in the space to a university like this, and you get to engage them. So, I think get involved, and the sky's the limit. So, thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.